During the next half hour, we'll show you how the Catholic Campaign for Human Development reaches out to people living on the margins. We'll take you to the UIC Pavilion, where more than 8,000 middle school students celebrated their faith at Holy Fire. And we'll introduce you to Deacon Freddy, who is on a mission to provide toys for needy children in Guatemala. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, I'm Todd Williamson, Director of the Office for Divine Worship for the Archdiocese of Chicago. And I'm here in studio with Cardinal Blaise Cupich. Cardinal, it's good to see you again. Happy Advent.
Todd, thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. Cardinal, I want to begin on a very important topic. Let's begin by discussing the meeting that Pope Francis has called in Rome in February, calling together all of the presidents of the conferences of bishops throughout the world, all around the clergy sexual abuse. You yourself were named as one of the organizers for this meeting. What can you tell us about it, Cardinal?
Well, in addition to myself, as Cardinal Gracious of Bombay, who's part of the C9, that is the group of cardinals that advises the Holy Father, and Archbishop Scicluna, who is now one of the adjunct secretaries for the Congregation of Doctrine of Faith, and he's the Archbishop of Malta, and then Father Hans Zollner, who is a Jesuit priest at the Gregorian University. He's on the Pontifical Commission for Protection of Minors. So the four of us have been charged by the Holy Father to organize this four-day meeting in which he's asked the presidents of all of the bishops' conferences to come together so that there really can be an understanding that the crisis facing us is not just isolated in the Western Hemisphere or the United States or the English-speaking countries, but it is a global issue that we all need to address. So his hope would be that there would be that kind of ownership on the part of everyone, but it will also give an opportunity for the Holy Father to speak about his own experiences of having spoken to victims, and also chart a course forward in which we're really going to have expectations set on how we address this very important issue of protecting children in a very global way.
Yeah. Is part of there's 100 and some conferences,
right? Yes.
Is part of this to make sure that everyone is, as we say, on the same page in regard to approaching?
Well, yes, and I think that part of the issue is that it has not been so prominent in other countries, and yet we know that child safety should be a part of the Church's own ministry. That I think is so very critical to understand, that children are at risk. And while it might not receive the media attention that it has in some of the countries around the world, children are at risk, and we need to make sure that they're protected. So I think that it is important for us as the hierarchy throughout the world in union with the Holy Father to take seriously this critical issue, but also to hold each other responsible. We need accountability and transparency as we move forward, and those will be part of the discussions we'll have when we meet.
You've noted in other arenas, in print and on radio, Episcopal accountability is kind of a newer focus, right?
Well, it is. I think that it has always been important for bishops who oversee dioceses to hold other people accountable, but also themselves accountable. And we have many canons within the Code of Canon Law that speak to that sense of the responsibility that we have for the prudent governance in our dioceses. But I think that the important thing to keep in mind is that we have learned a lot about child protection over these past decades, and in fact are way in advance of many institutions in the secular world that care for and educate children. We want to make sure that what we have learned in some countries is in fact shared broadly. but also to understand that the protection of children is a responsibility of the entire church. And so that is where the Holy Father is moving forward with this agenda, and it's going to come out of his own experience of having dealt with and talked to victims and seen the pain and the distress that abuse has caused them and damage it's done. And I think he wants to make sure that we're all on the same page, as you put it, moving forward.
Is part of the prep for that the retreat that the bishops of the United States will enter into here in Chicago, up at the seminary at Mundelein? Are they connected?
Well, there might be connected in the sense that our president will be part of that retreat. But I think that that is a singular focus for the United States. The Holy Father has asked that we come together to find the core of our unity together in moving forward, not just on this issue of child protection, but on a whole host of issues in which we need to recapture our sense of unity. And I think that that is what motivated the Holy Father to encourage us to go on retreat together. And I'm just very proud that they picked Mundelein, and I'm sure that they did so because of the wonderful weather we have in January.
Yes, in January. Bring them from the south and from the
That's
southwest.
right, and the Californians are going to love it.
Oh my gosh. We'll certainly call for people to hold the bishops in prayer during their retreat, but also the meeting in February in Rome.
Well, yes, we're going to have 200 plus bishops here. My hope is that we're going to look for a way to link individual names of bishops with parishes, so that during those days, the parishioners in those parishes can keep a particular bishop in prayer. So we're working on a way to do that.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. We'll certainly get behind that. I want to switch gears, if it's all right now. I want to ask about a couple questions about the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, the CCHD for short. Recently had their annual appeal in the parishes all across the Archdiocese.
Yes.
They do wonderful work, and our TV and radio office produced a video that shows all of the various community organizations that benefit from from the CCHD.
Wonderful.
Let's take a look over here.
People being shot and gunned down in our community has become the norm, and so now more than ever we need to change those narratives, that when a person is shot, when violence takes place in our communities, we won't just walk around as if nothing happened.
Now, more than ever, workers need to know what their rights are. They need to feel empowered to speak up when their rights are being abused. And they need support and advocacy from the outside world to fight for their rights at the legislative level and the local level.
Now more than ever, it is important that we as a society recognize how poverty and injustice strip away human dignity. The Catholic Campaign for Human Development works with nonprofits, both faith-based and secular, to provide the vital support needed to promote systemic change in our communities. Here is a snapshot of how Chicago area organizations and the people they support benefit from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
The Chicago Workers Collaborative brings workers together who are low-wage workers across gender, race, Latinos, African Americans, Caucasians, men and women, so that together we can make a better world that's just for all workers.
I've been working with Chicago Workers Collaborative for the last year to use a technique called Theater of the Oppressed to support local day laborers to fight for their rights. We're seeing an anti-immigrant parade of energy that's happening politically and then personally. And when you give a worker an opportunity to play that out, role play that scenario out with someone who doesn't like them just simply because of the color of their skin or the language they speak, in a safe space, a theater, then when they're out in the working world and they find that anti-immigrant sentiment, if they know their rights and they've been given that opportunity to role play the power that they have within them, then they have the strength to do it in real life. And so that's where the power of theater is.
management of funds. Yet another center was needed.
You know, the mission of Progress Center for Independent Living is to assist people with disabilities or provide people with disabilities with the tools they need to become independent and be part of our community.
Today we're here for Shop In, and we are in Forest Park. There are multiple businesses around us. We're here to prove that people with disabilities have money and they have power, and the opportunity to build collaboratives between businesses usher them to a place of greater accessibility beyond just the ADA. Our doors are wide enough, but it's about people meeting people and getting the word out.
We have money to buy, so we should be included in any business, and they should think about us when they open their doors.
Our organization is focused on public safety and anti-violence work in our community. And so we do that on the ground level with our service providers, as well as our outreach workers, reentry work, and we also do this in honors of collaboration with our partners down in Springfield. So what's going on today is we have our youth development leadership team that's coming on board, our young leaders in the community with our restorative justice hub. They're being trained in restorative justice, but also in youth development. So we think that in order to get this change that we need to take place in our community, we have to invest in our youth leadership. We have to get them on board into this process. It can't just be us telling them what they need. We need them to come to the table and get involved with this process that we're doing with helping our community.
I was one of those people coming home from state penitentiary, and when I come home, my family turned their back on me, and my friends let me down. I'm just trying to keep it real. And when I messed around and I stepped into target area, they received me with open arms. They didn't look at me for who I was, but who I may become, and they loved on me. They loved me when I didn't even love myself, and I'm able to stand here before you today, even 15 years later, because we serve a God of a second chance. Now I get to give second chances through places like target area development, where love don't cost you nothing.
Please join me as we work together in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ to fight poverty and ensure that everyone, especially those who live on the margins of society, participates in decisions that affect their lives, families, and communities. Now more than ever, we need the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. God bless you all.
Now more than ever, we can use the support that the Catholic Campaign for Human Development is giving us.
Now, more than ever, we need the Catholic Campaign for Human Development to support workers across the country.
Now, more than ever, we need the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
CCHD does an awful lot for a lot of people.
It sure does.
Now more than ever is the tagline that they use. You used it in that video we just saw. Talk a little bit about that. Is it now more than ever the need is here? Is that what is?
Well, I think it comes from two directions. Yes, the need is there, so now more than ever we need the help. But also, as we look at the way the Church is moving forward under the pontificate of Pope Francis, in which he asks us to be a field hospital. In order to really take on our role as missionary disciples, we need to become involved in the work of Catholic Charities, Campaign for Human Development, Catholic Relief Service, all of these various agencies, which allow us to move in a direction of exercising our missionary discipleship. So we need it as well as in terms of the practice of our own faith, as well as the people who benefit.
Yeah. They echo Pope Francis in talking about how their mission is to go to the people on the margins.
Right.
And in fact, even on our own website for CCHD, there's a wonderful line. Those who directly are affected by unjust systems and structures are best equipped to change them. They themselves, with our help, with the help of CCHD.
That's why, for instance, any group that applies for funds has to be organized in such a way that the majority of the members who are the controlling board are at the poverty level. So they want to make sure that people have decision-making rights about the project that's being funded, who in fact are experiencing poverty themselves.
Yeah. So for our viewers, if you want more information on how to donate, go to archchicago.org and click on the CCHD stamp. Stick around after these messages, because in a moment, we'll show you what Holy Fire is all about.
Good morning, welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Catholic Chicago is on the air. Tune to WNDZ 750 AM weekdays from 8 to 9 in the morning to be informed, inspired, and entertained. From what's going on at your parish to news from the Vatican, listen and learn or join the conversation. That's 750 AM weekdays at 8 a.m. or online at archchicago.org. Click on Radio TV. Be an informed Catholic. Listen to Catholic Chicago.
We'll be back after these messages, and again, do not touch that dial.
Chicago Catholic, in print or online, is your go-to source for news about the Catholic Church. In-depth coverage that stretches from Chicago to the Vatican. Thought-provoking articles, including columns from Cardinal Blaise Cupich, photographs that inspire, reviews of movies, books, and TV columns. Go to chicagocatholic.com to subscribe. Be an informed Catholic. Subscribe to Chicago Catholic today.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago. Cardinal Cupich, on the last Friday and Saturday of October, over 8,000 middle school students gathered at the UIC Pavilion in a demonstration of their faith. It was called Holy Fire. Our radio and TV office spent the day there and were able to capture some of the sights and the sounds, and the very loud sounds, as you remember. Let's take a look.
It is so awesome to come today and bring our school to Holy Fire, to give the kids an opportunity to see that living their faith out is not weird. So here at Holy Fire, they have a way of relating to the kids that's kind of silly and goofy, but also hits them right in their hearts where they're at in middle school, and that helps them to know that they can open their heart to Jesus and that it's not so weird, that it can be normal.
Events like Holy Fire is really a way to reconnect young people with their faith, so that what they experience at Mass has power and meaning in their life every day, because now it's becoming part of their lived experience. And often I think we make the mistake of thinking that young people are the future of the church. They're the church right now. Look, everything in the culture are attacking our young people, are attacking the family, and they need to be prepared and equipped with the power of the Holy Spirit to be able to confront the challenges of our culture today. And that's exactly what events like Holy Fire is doing.
This is actually my first time going to one, and this is also my first time going to a Catholic school. So I'm very excited. And this is better than everything I ever went to. The selection is awesome. The way that they pray, the singing, the dancing, the beatboxing, of course, is all exciting.
One of the ways that I connect with young people is by using comedy, by using music, beatboxing. I rap, I sing. So using all these things and entertaining the kids, I like to get them to a place where they open up their hearts. And at that point, we can really do some work and bringing the gospel to their hearts. And so that's kind of been one of the focus points of my ministry, to let them know that I understand them, I love them, I get them, we're going to have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we're not going to just stop there, because that would be totally ineffective, to just entertain them, but not bring them the message of Christ, which sets their hearts free.
I think it's good because they started telling us that we should like talk about God in our hearts and our mouth, and we should learn more about God and just come closer to Him.
When they see each other, they no longer feel isolated. They can say, we're in this together, and there's other young people who say God's important, Christ is important. Being part of this church means something, and I want to be a part of it. So hopefully they leave here not only learning something more about their faith, but inspired to go out and say, I'm going to continue to be a part of this, and then when they're adults, continue to practice and to participate in the life of the church.
Receiving victory.
I like it a lot. It's really fun. It's a bit more fun than I expected. But yeah, I thought it would be something fun to enjoy, and I decided I'd come with my church group. They're trying to get across to you that God is always with you.
The message that I think is the most important when it comes to our young people is that you are not alone. God has a plan for your life, and you are loved. Those three components are the things that ultimately changed my life when I was a young person, that when I encountered Christ and I got those answers that you are loved by Jesus, there is a plan for your life. He's got it. He's got this under control, and that I'm not alone, despite all the chaos and home and family, friends, and things like that, that he sees me, he's with me.
Holy Fire is a great experience. I really get to learn about God and his presence, and you really get to know the meaning of why he put you here and why he loves you so much, and they truly express that in all their songs and everything.
Holy Fire, 8,000 middle school students. That is quite a gathering.
This is the third year that we've had it. The first year we had a little over 2,000. The next year a little over 4, and now over 8,000.
Yeah.
So it has grown incrementally. These middle-aged school kids who participate in it really spread the word among themselves. And so this is a wonderful outreach. When the church is asked all the time by people, what are you doing for young people? I point to something like Holy Fire, but also our Theology on Tap and the other efforts that we make for different age groups. We need to have greater outreach to our young people, and I fully support that.
Well, there was talk of Holy Fire being an every other year event.
Right.
But that's changed, I understand.
Well, it is, because the demand is so great, and we're probably even going to look at another model for that beyond Holy Fire and create something that's specific for the Archdiocese of Chicago, because we do have Holy Fire in a national way, but there is something specific about the things that we have identified in our own diocese that might offer the opportunity for something new.
Well, we saw in that video just the energy that's in that pavilion. You felt it yourself.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, but the energy all around faith.
Right.
All around their faith, their prayer life.
And they love being with other Catholic kids.
Yeah.
That's a big part of this.
Yeah, yeah. Cardinal, let's wrap up with a story more along the lines of Christmas. Deacon Freddy Palacios of St. Charles Borromeo Parish has, for the last 10 years, been collecting toys for kids in Guatemala, his native land. This year, he and his wife have collected over 2,000 toys and will be taking them in. We wanted to introduce our viewers to him. Let's take a look
wonderful.
at this.
When we started, we were taking a couple boxes, a couple of toys. Then we started putting boxes together. Now we are shipping, I believe we already have about 2,000 toys. I wish I can have tons of them. And that is something very special. We believe in our heart that we all deserve the same thing. We all children of God. There is no difference. We all deserve to have something, and it breaks our heart that some people, because the parents don't have enough money, they buy a toy for them and sacrifice one meal or something a day or something. They just can't afford to buy any toys. So that's the reason why we started all that. Deep in my heart, I know there is a lot of people out there with good heart. They want to share a little bit of love to somebody in need. When I come back from there, I always go to the church and say, I bring back a lot of hugs for you. I don't deserve it. You deserve it because you are the ones that give us the present to us. I said that this is an adventure of love, an adventure of hope, an adventure of sharing with others and let them know that somebody, somewhere, cares for them, that loves them, even though they don't know them.
Quite an effort on their part to send those toys to children who need them in Guatemala.
Well, The deacons do a terrific job in many unsung ways. They visit people on the streets at night, especially during the cold winter. We see that much like with Deacon Freddy in Guatemala, we have a couple of deacons who help with disaster relief in Puerto Rico, where they came from originally. I also know that many of our deacons look for ways in which they work through Catholic Charities to assist people, from the food pantries in their own parishes to those around the diocese. So the deacons are really living up to their tradition of helping the church put its best foot forward and bringing the presence of Christ to those who need healing. That really is what their mandate is. Why the diaconate was instituted in the first place with the early church, as we see in the Acts of the Apostles. So I'm very proud of them. They not only are those who help around the altar that people see on Sunday, but they're in the trenches every day, and they make us proud.
In history, as you say, their two main purposes were to serve at the altar, but then to serve the poor.
Yes.
And here's an example of that. Deacons for Hope, another organization of deacons in our archdiocese that reaches out in many ways, some to the victims of hurricanes, as you mentioned. But
yes, and the African American deacons every year have a sunrise service that is tuned to dealing with violence in our society. So I could go on listing the wonderful things that deacons do, and this is an opportunity for me to encourage men, families to think about the diaconate, because really, when we ordain a deacon, it's really a deacon couple. The wife has such an important part in all of this, and they go through the same training as a deacon, simply because that support is so necessary for their ministry.
Yeah. Yeah, our own diaconate office here, I'm not sure if you're aware, in the Archdiocese just inaugurated their own radio show, monthly radio show.
Oh, good.
So an opportunity for the deacons on a regular basis to speak to the people of the Archdiocese and beyond.
Well, I encourage that, because I think the more that our people learn about the diaconate program, which we are able to support because of the generosity of the people. You know, that deacon program is funded through the annual Catholic Appeal every year, and that is how we're able to have the formation each and every year because of the generosity. So the people of the Archdiocese have a hand in making the deacons as such a force in this Archdiocese.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Great.
Cardinal, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Good. And if I don't see you again before Christmas, Merry Christmas to you and all of our listeners for the wonderful ways in which we come together in this season to welcome Christ in the world, especially in those people who, like that first family of our faith, were refugees and immigrants. So we pray for all those who are seeking room in the inn this time of the year.
Thank you, and happy Christmas to you and the rest of Advent.
Thank you.
All right. To our listeners, we thank you for listening. I'm Todd Williamson. We'll see you here next time on Catholic Chicago.
We invite you to watch segments of Catholic Chicago and hundreds of additional Catholic videos at youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.